Get started. Yeah.
Yeah, what are we going to do tonight? Have you figured it out, or are we just going to shoot from the hip?
Well, I think we ought to give people a chance to really get a sense of the comp plan tonight, right?
Oh, geez, that's a great idea. When did you come up with that?
I don't know. This guy
Good.
Chuck was out.
Hey, hey, we came up with something. I'm glad that my partner was around here to come up with something. What we've decided to do, or I guess Michael's decided to do. Michael, why don't you go ahead and get those slides put up on the on the screen, and I'll get all the rest of the stuff put away.
All right.
So I'll get everybody muted out. Got everybody recording already, got all that done. And so, hey guys, what we've decided to do is give you an in-depth, totally in-depth, total immersion, right? You're going to be totally immersed into the compensation plan. So by the time we finish this session, you will have become an expert in the iHub Dynamic Hosting Affiliate Program. So say that 3 times very quickly. So, hey guys, and no kidding aside, this the referral plan that we put together is nothing short of amazing. It was designed by a very good friend of ours who recently passed away. But before he did, he consulted with us on exactly, the way to tweak this so that the most people, we could get as many people making money as quickly as possible. He was a $1 million a month earner in another company that used a very similar type plan. And their product was a phone bill of all things, right? It was an $80, basically an $80 long distance bill. The company was called Excel. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this and go through it. We're going to go through it in segments. And after each segment, where the chat is open, you can send chats to us. So we're going to take questions on that particular segment, right? So we're going to segment questions, right? We're going to do that. We're going to go through 4 different segments, and we're going to take 4 different amount. And obviously, we're not going to be able to take all the questions, but we're going to do our best to kind of, I'll kind of go through the questions and look at them as Michael and goes through some of this, and we'll kind of interact together. So Michael, take it away anytime you're ready, buddy.
All right. Hey, happy to do it. So again, as Chuck was saying, the key is as we go through each segment and you ask questions, keep it on the segment that we just went over so that we have a really good sense of everybody having clarity on that as we go to the next segment and that sort of thing. So as Chuck mentioned, I mean, this plan is really extraordinary. It took me a while to really get my head completely around it. I bugged you a lot, Chuck, about, well, what about this? What about that, to understand it? But this really is very special, and we really hope people get a sense of how appreciative we are of having this information and being able to put this together. So let's go ahead and get started here. Basically, the first segment has to do with people literally getting started and requesting their free deployment of a hotspot. And I want to just kind of point out this little icon that we got on there with the sort of teardrop with the house and the red dot on it. That represents an affiliate. The red dot means that it is not yet an active affiliate. So kind of pay attention. We'll cover that as we do move that from red to green. But essentially, when someone gets started, the first thing that they do is they request a free deployment if they're in an area where they are able to get a unit. It's not critical to have one in order to participate in the plan. It's completely optional, but nonetheless, it's a nice thing to go through the exercise of getting it. And so once you do that and you get this deployed unit, First off, just in the process, you're going to sign up for free. You're going to request a hotspot. And in the process of signing up, you have an iHub account. Now, in order to request a hotspot, there's three things. Okay. First, you have to have an iHub account. So the registration is really the first step to reserving the unit. You also need to be a person or a business entity. In other words, a real person or a real business in order to request a hotspot. There's been a few situations out there where there's been non-people or entities reserving hotspots that, that's kind of being sorted through. And it needs to be a legitimate address for that location, that, a verified address that will be before the unit is deployed, and making sure all that is copacetic from that point of view. So those are the three things. And I'd like that maybe just add a fourth one for consideration. And that is you really need to have internet as well, because without internet, you can't hook the unit up to the internet. I mean, it has to be online in order for this thing to function. So basically you've requested a unit, and now you've gone through the process where your location's been qualified and you receive one. And if you notice, that dot turned green. Okay, so the dot turned green once there is a unit on the blockchain, on the Helium blockchain associated with your affiliate account. Now, one little caveat on this that's really more relative to the rest of the comp plan, but if you're somebody in, let's say, Tierra del Fuego, right? It's going to be a while before we deploy units in Tierra del Fuego, wherever that is. I think it's somewhere near between South America and Antarctica or something. In any case, it's going to be a while before we deploy a unit there, but you can be in Tierra del Fuego and build a team of iHub affiliates all around the world and be able to receive all the benefits from the rest of our comp plan. And if somebody in some location that receives a unit on your team gets their unit, you go green as well, where that whole leg for you goes green. So it's whoever, anybody on the team gets their unit, it activates the team essentially. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, so you've qualified, you've gotten your deployment, and now you're going to be entitled to hosting rewards. 15% of what the unit generates, you'll be receiving for the first 90 days. We'll come back up to that a little bit, because you do have the possibility of being able to get that. Oops. Go back to where I was. Being able to get that up to 25% after 90 days. And we'll talk a little bit how that works. Okay, now another portion that we're going to be talking about in this section is the referral plan. That's when you reach out to somebody and you say, hey, Chuck, you really need to check out this iHub Global company. I mean, it's extraordinary. I think we kind of went through that process a little bit in the beginning anyway. So, but in any case, so as the referrer of somebody that gets a deployed unit, you're getting 10% of what that unit generates for those first 90 days. Okay, so the host is getting 15% for the first 90 days. The referrer is getting 10% for those first 90 days. But there is a way to increase that by 10% for each of you. And the way that is done essentially is, let me just kind of get to that slide. Using the Helium Track software that is like such a massive game changer in what we got going on. By sending out mining assessments, getting people familiarized with using the Helium Track. So here's the way it works, okay? You brought in an individual, you referred them, they got a deployed unit, they're going to get 15% for their first 90 days. You're going to be getting 10% of what those units are generating for the first 90 days. But if you work with that individual and you get them familiarized with how to use the Helium Track software, start to reach out to people, that getting some assessments is such an easy process. Anybody can do it. And it could be a mining assessment. We're sending a link to them to getting 5 registered units, 5 registered affiliates as a result of sending out the mining assessments are linked. Then that is going to qualify you essentially from going from that getting that extra 10% on the host to go from 15% to 25%. That 25% begins after that initial 90-day period at 15%. And then for the referrer, it's going to be the same thing. The referrer is also going to get that extra 10% bump after 90 days. Now, what most people are doing is they're getting people getting those 5 registrations done like right away, right when they get started, helping them get acclimated to the whole system. It's really important that you take people by the hand as a referrer, and you're getting that extra 10% by assisting the people that you're working with that are hosting the units on how to increase their 15 to 25%. So it's a win-win, absolutely doing that, getting them training on the Helium track software. And you guys are going to be getting some really cool stuff on that on Thursday. So I think this is kind of this initial segment here.
Okay, so that's kind of
yeah.
the,
Let's take some questions on this.
Yeah, so that's kind of the first bit of information. So you're going to get registered, you're going to reserve a hotspot, and we can kind of go through that. So let's see, a couple of questions. There was a couple of questions here where it said, I joined today. When will the first batch of mining boxes go out? Okay. Next question.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you can just kind of keep the questions specific to each segment, so that we get a good training, recorded on this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's see, Michael, can you see any of those questions?
I see like 2 questions in the chat.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I mean, the biggest part of this whole thing is you as the referring affiliate going from 10% to 20%. It's really your responsibility to work with that host, right? Your host as hosting that free deployment and helping them send out those virtual mining assessments to their friends and their family and their brother and their sister and their cousin, their aunt and their uncle, and so on and so forth, and getting those 5 people registered for free, right? All we're looking for is engagement. We're looking for that host to start to engage some people in the process. So very, very simple process if you take it seriously, because it amounts to serious money as you move forward. That doubling your income is a serious component to the whole model. So to go from
big time,
10 to 20% is gigantic. Not so much for the host, but certainly from 15 to 25 is good, but it's really huge for the affiliate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, folks, we're an affiliate program here, and a lot of people focus their attention on having one of these devices that they're hosting. But I can assure you without any equivocation that the majority of the big dollars that people are going to get, or the big quantities of helium, is going to come by having a lot of people on their teams that they're personally enrolling and develop from that. Now, there is a couple of questions here, Chuck. There's one that's saying,
the 90 days begin, Michael?
Yes. Yeah, well, that's the first one. So the 90 days actually begins when the unit actually goes online and starts generating helium. So you've got some time before the unit gets there, but here's the key, guys. If they don't sign up their 5 people within 90 days of that unit lighting up, then that's it. They don't have the opportunity to increase after that. And so it's incumbent upon you as the referrer to make sure that process takes place. Those 5 people don't have to get their own deployment. They don't have to engage. It's more, as Chuck was saying, we want to acclimate the person to Helium Track, to the process, have them thinking about the process. And that's really what our expectation is on that. Because we know that once people start using this and playing with it, it's fun. I mean, people are really enjoying this process. But anyway, so yeah, the first 90 days begins once the thing is hooked up.
Here's a good question. It says, what if the hosting affiliate doesn't want a wallet, but will, place the unit? Well, then, I guess what you could do is put your wallet address in their
Back
back
office.
office, right? In their back office, and collect that into your wallet.
Right.
So,
But then you're going to be responsible for the accounting and everything, because that person will be receiving tax documents and things of that nature once they get over $600 worth of helium. Then it will require a tax ID. And if you're getting the helium, you're going to definitely have to have tight connections with them on that. But
yeah, absolutely. Well,
yeah.
Michael, let's go through the next segment.
All right. So the next segment is really where the rubber meets the road in this program, and it has to do with building your affiliate network. And as we build our affiliate networks, there's 4 separate networks that we're building. They're really discrete teams that are independent of the other ones. And the first one is called the Pro Network, followed by the Bronze, Silver, and Gold network that you're doing. It's very different than a lot of types of programs that people may have experienced over the past, because these teams are independent from each other. So let's kind of start with this process. So the pro team are the first 5 people, the first 5 personally active affiliates. Emphasis is on active, meaning that light there is green, meaning that they either personally have a deployed unit, or somebody anywhere on their team has a deployed unit, will activate that leg for you, even if it's somebody several tiers removed as a result of different spheres of influence. Again, taking that example of the person in Tierra del Fuego that's talking to somebody in the UK, they're talking to somebody that gets a deployed unit, and then that person in Tierra del Fuego gets activated as a result of that type of activity. So the first 5 active affiliates, and it does it kind of from left to right, are your pro network. And we'll talk about that in detail. But the pro network, you're able to get up to, of course, the 20% referral rewards. That's true on all 4 of the teams, under the same basis of helping the host get those 5 registrations done. It moves them from 15 to 25, and you up to from 10 to 20. Okay. And then you're able to get pro team check match, which we will go into the details on that a little further into the program here. But that's the first 5 people that you get started into your iHub affiliate network as a result of doing that. The next one that happens is the Bronze network. After you get the first 5, now you got 10 slots available, just like you had 5 slots in the pro team. Now you got 10 slots available in the Bronze network. And the very first one that gets filled, your number 6 slot, is going to essentially move you into the Bronze space. And so you got these 10 personally active affiliates that are going to fill from starting with number 6 to number 15 to get you there. Again, you get the same 20% reward, but now you're picking up this incredibly powerful thing that's called a Bronze code, or a 5% coded bonus. This is the magic that Chuck was alluding to in the beginning. That was really a major piece of that particular program that he was talking about. So you get those 10 people in, And now you're basically starting your silver network, which begins with your number 16th person. There's 10 slots available there. And with that, you're going to get 10% silver code. It's technically two 5% codes, but let's just say the 10% silver code. And that basically goes there. And then the last one, the gold team, is basically beginning with your 26th person, and you've got unlimited number of people that can make up your front of your gold team. Just like you had a limitation of 5 on the pro, 10 on the bronze and silver, but you can have unlimited number of people, anybody that you enroll that goes active after your 25th person is part of your gold team, beginning of that. And that's really where the rubber meets the road as far as what you want to be achieving as quickly as possible. Now you got a 15% gold code that you're picking up on that. And I can tell you that is talking about some real serious possibilities. So I think at this juncture, let's just go over the overview on this. Again, the pro network, you got again, everybody's got the 10 to 20% referrals. You got up to a 25% matching bonus that you get on your pro. Again, we'll talk about that in detail in a little bit, up to 20% on your personals. Then when you talk about the bronze, the big difference in bronze is that 5% bronze code. The big difference in silver is that 10% silver code. And the big difference on gold is that 15%. But I can tell you, those seemingly small 5%, 10%, 15% amounts are massive, massive opportunity for us to build this organization, this team of hotspots, helium hotspots, iHub miners around the world. So,
Michael, and you're exactly right. Go back to that slide for a second. Let me just kind of, for all of you that have watched me do the Monday night presentation, this is kind of the basis, and this is the amount of information that I usually just present in that overview that I do on Monday night, is talking about the more people you refer, right, the more money you make, right? So you make 20%, 25%, 30%, 35%. Now, just stick with me here. So you're referring 35 people. If those 35 hotspots only produce 50 helium a month, 50 helium a month, you will have earned 500 helium a month as your referral commission. 500 helium a month times 12 months is 6,000 helium, right? You with me? You got that math? Very simple. 6,000 times whatever the value of helium is whatever. If it's 20 bucks, like it is right now, or higher, then it's 120 grand.
Yeah, it's actually like 23 right now, but it goes up and down. Yeah,
I can't multiply that, so yeah, I just have to stick with 20. Right? So if it were 25, I could work it out. But you get the gist of everything. So if somebody wants to know, hey, how does your compensation plan work? This is the part that I would teach them. This is what I call the napkin presentation, right? You can't get into all kinds, and do an in-depth, total, immerse the person in details. You got to say, well, we're building 4 teams, or, can you refer 35 people, refer 35 people that join for free, that have to spend no money to get a hotspot. Let me cover that again. You don't have to spend any money to get a hotspot. 35 people, and can you find 35 people to do that? Yeah, I can. Okay, well, great. Here, let me show you how this works. 20%, 25, 30, 35%, 5, 10 people, 10 people, 10 people. That adds up to 500 helium a month times 12 is 6,000. 6,000 times 20 bucks is 120 grand. What else would you like to know?
Yeah, the power of that, Chuck, is that's totally under your own control. The people that you reach out to,
right,
and You're not relying on them having to do anything other than putting in a good location that qualifies for that. You help them in that process of doing that. And there's a lot of things that we teach on how to
Right. Do you
increase
need
those
to make it?
rewards.
Do you need to have a unit to make a commission? No, no purchase required, no unit required. So you can, like Michael said, you could live in Timbuktu, right? Wherever that is, and where there's no units being deployed, but people in the US market, people in Europe, people in Australia. You can refer them and start earning commissions and building a team. So very, very powerful plan. So let's see, Michael, any other questions up there that we might be able to hit real quick?
Yeah, let's see. Do you know the percentage of affiliates that make it to the gold network? Well, we know what the numbers are right now, but we just got to understand that we're really moving into major deployment season. So we can have a conversation about that after the end of the year. So let's see. Let's see, there's a lot of questions that aren't relating to this. Hey guys, we want questions related to this segment. Okay.
Well, and when you get to the gold code, when you get to the gold network, right, you're building gold, you have infinite. I mean, this is where you really get started. Up until, you might be cruising along, kind of adding some, but when you get to gold, now it's time to put the gas, on, press the pedal to the metal, right? I mean, because now you're getting 35%. Are you kidding me? You're getting 35% of everybody that you personally enroll, and you're getting a 15%. And Michael's going to go over the code in a second, and it's going to blow you away, because once you start doing the numbers, the math gets astronomical.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a couple of basic ones. There was somebody just asking about the five on that. You can do that at any time as long as it's before the 90 days are up. You can see your entire group if you go over to the commission back engine, the commission back office. Let's see, what do you do if your area is saturated? Well, you don't need to have a unit. I mean, if you live in San Francisco, ground zero for helium, before they really started implementing their 30-meter, the 300-meter separation, there was a lot of people that were just stacking units kind of haphazardly. So you don't need to have your own unit in that location. You can refer people outside of that particular area and do extremely well. Okay, let's see how to calculate the bronze network commission just from 10 people. Look, yeah, we'll look at something like that towards the end once we go through everything. But essentially the code, when you're thinking about this code, it's 5% of what the unit earns. Okay. And I want to hold that to the next portion because I think it's a little bit cleaner to see. Okay. Is there anything else, Chuck, on this particular slide before we continue?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
you have 90 days to build each level. No, you have forever to build each level.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So there's no time frame, no time, we're not putting any time. The clock is not running. Some people will be able to enroll 35 people in a weekend. Some people will take a lifetime. But it doesn't matter. So just move at your own pace, whatever pace that happens to be.
That's right. And once you get there, it's just as sweet. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. We're still talking about the coded networks. This was just the overview, but I want to show you really how this actually operates. So you've got your 5 protein people that you brought in. Now you're bringing in your personals that are the beginning of your bronze team. Okay. And you're going to have up to 10 personals that you've got to do this with. Now, the way this works is that as these 10 people begin building their own affiliate teams in iHub, they're going to start with their own pro team, their first 5 people. And so as they start to do that, what actually occurs is their first 5 people literally roll up to you on your front team, one tier, one line. And so this person brings in their 5, it rolls up to you. This person brings in their 5, it rolls up to you. And what's really amazing is this process continues forever. For when these people over here bring in their 5, it rolls up to you. And when those people bring in their 5, it rolls up to you. And this process continues without any limitation, as long as those people on your front line are bringing in their first 5. It's different after the first 5, but for the first 5, forever, doesn't matter how long they've been in, whether they've achieved a rank of bronze, silver, or gold themselves, their first 5 forever roll up to you. As long as they're they've rolled up initially, everybody on this line, even if it's 1,000 wide, every time a new person brings in their first 5, it's going to increase that line coming to you. That's 5%.
Can you see me smiling? Can you see me smiling? You see, hey guys, when these 10, I mean, you have to understand this. When these 10 that you personally enrolled, when you help them go get their 5, they earn the 20%, right? They earn the 20%. You earn the 5% differential, right? And those 10 go get 5. Now you've got 50, right? That you're earning 5% on their minors, right? When those 50 go get their 5, you've got 250. You start to see how the math goes here. In a perfect world, obviously it's not going to happen like that, but you start running some numbers, and it can get very, very exciting very quickly, especially when you get when you get past the 5%. The 5% is great, and that's what I say all the time. I'd rather earn 5%, 10%, or 15% on thousands of hotspots, right, than 100% of my own, because that's the leverage. And so, go ahead, Michael. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So on each one of these people, these gold little icons that we're seeing here, you got your 10 that you personally enrolled. All these people are rolling up from the people below those 10. And that all represents 5% of their hotspot that they personally have, if they have one, right? And it's actually coded to the hotspot itself. So when you're actually looking at your reports, you can see the particular name of a hotspot that you're receiving the code on. You're getting 5% of whatever that hotspot generates, whether it's generating 10 helium tokens or 100 helium tokens. You're going to get 5% of those tokens over whatever period of time it is, forever. Really, it's crazy. These never go away. They never get blocked. It's not like after 12 months it's like, well, thank you very much, and now somebody else is going to get that 5% on those particular hotspots. It's a permanent code, and it is the most extraordinary invention in these kinds of strategies of anything I've ever seen. So this process continues the same way, unabated. And this is just another example of showing how these people over here continue to add people to that front, and it just goes on forever. So let's go ahead and look at silver. Silver basically has the same process, and you can look at it from the perspective of those first 5 people basically rolling up to your front level, but now you're really getting, instead of 5%, you're really getting 10% on those first 5 people. And this goes unabated forever as well, just like bronze. There's one little caveat that we don't, go into too much detail on, but at the silver level, you're able to get a piece of the action on their bronze teams that those people do as well, where instead of getting 10%, you'll get that 5% differential. But just know it's even better than we're talking about right now. But it works the same way for bronze, silver, and gold. And remember, the bronze team, the silver team or the silver network, and the gold network are three complete, discrete, separate teams of people. One never moves from the pro team to the bronze team, or the bronze team from the silver team to the gold team. They're all completely independent of each other as you're going ahead and doing this. Everybody goes through the same process all along. And of course, it's the same thing at the gold level, except for now there's 3 of those 5% codes. And so those 15% on those first 5 are very, very powerful, but it's even better than that because of those differentials that we don't talk too much about, but trust me, they're sweet. So I think this pretty much covers this section before we go into the matching bonus on the pro teams.
So let's make sure that everybody understands this. You're getting paid, that the code is the differential, right? So your frontline people it's your goal, your frontline people, the people that you personally enrolled, you're earning 35% on, 20% plus the 15%. When they enroll somebody, they pick up the 20%, you pick up the 15%. Pretty simple. The 35% is always paid out. Now, if I'm a gold and I enroll a brand new person, guess what? I get all of it, right? I get the bronze code, I get the silver code, and I get the gold code. So that's what that 15% really is kind of how it breaks out. So there's a 5% code and a 5% code and a 5% code. So, so where do you want your heavy hitters placed, pro or weight? Pro team. Yeah, pro team. You know, we're going to talk about the match here in a second. Do you have an opportunity to pick your first 5 team members and lock them in? Unfortunately, no. So just go get them and do the best you can. You know, at the end of the day, will it make any huge amount of difference? Not a lot. I mean, it's going to make some difference, but you know, it won't make a big, huge difference. So am I correct that iHub is paying out at least 75% of the HNT mine?
No, it's actually 65%.
Right.
There's 20% that goes to the refer. So that's 20%, assuming they move from 10 to 20. And there's 25% on the host, assuming they've moved from 15 to 25. So that's 50, that's 45 right there.
45,
right. And then there's the 5% code. So that takes it to 60. And then there's 5% left to pay the matching bonuses that we're going to talk about in the next section. So that's a total of 65%.
Yep. Let's see.
So here's a good question. It says, what happens to the 6 refer of every gold team member? So again, this is what Chuck was saying. So when you're a gold, you're getting all 3 of those codes on the pro team. The first 5 people are the pro team. And then once those people start building their own bronze team, you don't lose on that. You're still getting the silver and the gold code on all of those people's bronze teams, but now you're at 10% instead of 15%. And then when they start building their silver teams, you're still getting that 5% gold code on top of that. So really, once you're building at the gold level, for everybody's first 25 people to infinity, essentially, you're able to be earning either 15, 10, or 5%. But after they bring in their 26 person, and now they're their gold themselves, they're the ones that are picking up all 3 of those bonuses.
Here's a good Jay says, it's too confusing to explain to others. I agree with you. It's too, you got, that's why you got to keep that first part of it. That's all that you need to explain to somebody who's brand new. Show them how to make 6,000 helium times $20 is 120 grand. I'm telling you what, that will excite 99.9. We're talking about the top 2% of the income earners on the planet, right? At 120 grand. So by think about this, nobody is spending any money, and you can make $120,000 a year. Who wants a job like that? Yeah, I do, right? I wish, so that's what, getting into all the code and all of the rest of that stuff. No, you're just going to make somebody's eyes glaze over and they're going to pass out.
Yeah, I agree with you totally on that, Chuck. The majority of people out there, in my experience, they figure out a little bit how it works after they start receiving it. Then they kind of reverse engineer it a little bit, because I love the way Sean explained that when you really want to understand this, you think like a computer. And if it's like you got a hotspot and it produces 100 helium tokens, whether it's a week or a month or 2 months or whatever it is, what's the distribution of those 65 helium tokens that goes out to the field? The computer just starts from the bottom up, right, and it says, okay, who gets the gold code? Who gets the silver code? Who gets the bronze code? Who gets the referrer? Who's getting the host fee on this? And it just does that. There's only one person getting each one of those pieces. And that's why the numbers are so big. This is completely different than like a multi-level program where those numbers would be split up against a whole bunch of other people and you get fractions of those pieces. So this is so powerful from that point of view. But like you're saying, Chuck, you don't need to understand that. That first thing about the 35, that is such an easy thing to explain to people because you totally control that. And the rest of it, you just figure it out and you go, wow, this is way better than I even imagined in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, way better. And the same thing happened to me, Michael, that happened to you when Steve first talked to me about this plan. And here, I'm sitting at his house on Lake Travis, and and he said, here's how it works, and I go, yeah. So I'm pretending like I understood it, right? But I was totally confused. And so it took me a while to finally get it. So let's go on to the next part.
All right. So the last piece has to do with this protein matching bonus. Okay. And so what you're matching, we call it a code match because you're matching the codes they've received off of their bronze, silver, and gold. So let's start off with what that match is. So if you are just getting started yourself, let's say that you just brought in your first person. So that means that you're building your pro team right now. You haven't moved on to start building your bronze team yet. And you bring in an individual, and that individual starts earning codes. And again, I'll clarify that on the next slide. Then you're going to start off at a 10% match while you're building your pro team. That match will increase to 15% once you yourself begin building your bronze team, and it'll increase to 20% when you start building your silver team. And once you start building your gold team, it'll top out at 25%. So what does that mean? Well, actually, it shows it really well on the next slide. So let's just take an example here. Okay. So here you are. Let's say that you're currently at the gold rank. Okay. And so you've gone on, you've got your pro team, you got your bronze team, your silver team, you brought in your first gold team. So that means you're now at the gold rank because you've hit your first person on your gold team. You're beginning to build your gold team. That puts you at the 25% match level on what you earn potentially from these 5 individuals that you've brought in. Now let's take one of those individuals. Okay. Let's say that this is Mike here, and Mike starts to build his team. He brings in his 10 bronze, his 10 silver. Now he's got 4 of his gold members on there, and he's starting to receive HNT, a 5% on this, 10%, 15% on what these units are earning. And let's say that he receives 100 helium tokens out of what he's earning on the 5% of these and the 10% of these and the 15% of these. You take the sum of all these codes that Mike is receiving, and you are going to match that. If you're building your own gold team, like in this example, you'll get 25%. Now that's not coming out of what Mike's 100 he earns. That's on top of it. So you would get 25 tokens that you would match on that situation. Now let's just say that you hadn't built to gold. Okay. Let's say that you're still working on your pro team. Then if you brought in Mike's on your pro team and he got 100 tokens, you would get 10% of that. You would get 10 of those tokens. And as you started moving to silver, I mean, as you started going to bronze, it would go from that point forward, you get 15 tokens. And once you start your silver team from that point forward, you would get 20 tokens. And once you hit gold, at that point, you would be at 25 tokens on his 100. Of course, whatever this number is, you're going to be getting that percent on that. And that's coming out of that last 5% that I mentioned to bring it up to a total of 65% that is going out to the field.
So it says, what happens if your first 5 don't do anything, but your next 5 do? Well, your first 5, you don't earn any matching. You just don't earn any match on those people. So so you get 0. So your next 5 do. Your next 5 will be in your bronze team, right? So you're going to earn 25%. You're going to earn 25%, and then you're going to earn a 5% override, basically, on everything that they do. So,
right. So on those first 5, of course, you still earn that 10 to 20% referral bonus on their units. Yes.
Yeah. So, any other questions down here that we can look at? Yeah, you don't have to take, this whole thing is being recorded. We'll get it out to everybody. Yeah. And
so listen, when the question is why make it complicated? Because here's the bottom line. No matter how you structure any kind of system, you got a pie, right? You can only pay out whatever percentage for that the company can pay out of whatever the volume is. And it's a question of how do you equitably pay it out to drive the behavior of people in their strategy of how they're going to share this information in a way that's going to reward them the maximally to do that. And there's a lot of thought involved in this process. Trust me, we've been doing this, Chuck and I, for a long time, looking at so many variations on the theme of how can you split hairs and make it the best. By far, with hands down, this is the most powerful program we've seen to reward people everywhere along the lines. I mean, 45% of the 65%, 2/3 of everything is earned is on the leading edge of the business. The people that are getting the units that are hosting them and the people that are inviting those people in there. So it's on the front end of that. So people don't have to wait some far-flung time if they don't have a big sphere of influence to get those other portions, but they will, because this is so easy. We've never seen anything that is so easy to do compared to people having to roll the boulder up the hill only to have it roll back and have to roll it again over and over again, and a lot of other entrepreneurial ventures that we've seen over the years. This is truly exceptional in so many different ways.
Well, and that you're talking about rolling that boulder up the hill. Well, so many times I've seen that boulder roll back over and squash those people as it rolls back down the hill, and then they have to start all over again. And it's just not like that with this, because this product is in itself totally different than anything that I've ever seen, that Michael's ever seen, because it produces income without you having to do anything, right? I really want you to understand that. It produces income without your immediate involvement. You don't have to do anything. You just plug it in, walk away. I sent out an email today to people that have got some pigs offline. And I check my pigs every day, right? I go into my office and I go, yep, there it is. The little green light's on. I pet it a little bit, and then I log on to look at my other pigs, that are being hosted out by other people, and to make sure that all of those little green lights are on, right? So I check my flock, all the time. So, and that's as much work. If somebody didn't want to do anything, that's as much work as anybody ever has to do. And then just refer a few people, refer this person, and here's the question that, hey, if I could show you a way to make a 5 or 6 figure annual income without spending any money, would you be interested? Duh, right? There's one of those aha moments, right? So, yeah, of course, somebody would be interested. So go out and ask that question to everybody that you know and say, hey, come along with me, and tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, right here on this very same channel. And I'm telling you, tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, be here, be with some friends, invite them, and we're going to tell them the story about why they want to be part of iHub Global. And, guys, we're growing quickly. People are saying, well, when can I get a machine? All of those things are certainly in the works. We're moving to this free deployment model. It's taken a lot of work in order to get there. It's taken a lot of resources to be able to get there. We signed purchase orders for 130,000 units. We're negotiating with the company on another 500,000 units. That first 130,000, that's $80 million worth of product. So this is not a small, venture that we're moving into. It's something that we've thought long and hard about, but it just made all the sense in the world. Because why? We want to deploy these hotspots, as limited as they are, to the very, very best locations possible. That's why we encourage everybody to go to Helium Track, get immersed in Helium Track, and you're going to get immersed on Thursday. You don't want to miss the Thursday 9 p.m. East Coast training. Rick Cotton's going to be there, our CEO, and Eric Z from Helium Track, and they're going to go over all kinds of new things that are just going to make our lives a lot easier and a lot simpler. So don't forget, 5 o'clock tomorrow, bring some friends, right? Thursday, bring those friends to the training. We've got 1,000 seats in that room. So, Michael, what else we got?
Well, there's people that are asking questions that are essentially saying, can you go over all that again? And so what I suggest is this will be recorded, watch it a few times. I have people that have been looking at this quite a bit, and then all of a sudden the light bulb goes on. They go, oh man, now I understand. And then they can't sleep at night. But
are we affected by the semiconductor shortage? Yes. That's a 10-4, right?
And that semiconductor shortage is something that really was on the verge of happening even before the pandemic. And the pandemic just completely unraveled the supply chain, but they were already tapped out. The foundries that were making the silicon, that the wafers that are used to make all the semiconductors, were close to being tapped out even then. So everything's been forced to move to the next level. And it's well on its way to doing that, but it still probably will be 6 months to 18 months before it gets back to what the world was experiencing with just-in-time supply chain, just a few short, year and a half, 2 years ago.
I mean, here's a good question. What kind of person do you target to be an affiliate?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I would answer that question by saying somebody that is interested in doing some kind of a side gig, that they're looking for a way of generating some side income. The idea of them having a hotspot in their location is icing on the cake, but I don't want that to be the cake for the individual, right? I'm looking for somebody that recognizes the power with sharing this with other people, because that's really what drives this commission structure that we've been going over. And really, those are the people that you just never know where that's going to happen. I mean, I don't know about you, Chuck, but I've seen some people that I've known across the years that I have a relationship with. They're not people that generally come from places and businesses where they do, sharing different things with people, but they got involved with this, and they can't even imagine what's been achieved over the last few months on their teams.
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden that they're like, a superstar, a rock star, but it's this helium track software and this technology and this business model that is so self-evident that if you just have somebody take a peek at it, they're going to get it if they take the time to figure it out, at least to understand it enough to go, one thing, Chuck, I think it's probably important for people to get a sense. We talk a lot about free and no money and things of that nature. There is going to be some kind of a deployment processing fee, which includes shipping the unit to the location, paying for their particular address to be programmed into the system.
And there's going to be, if you're in a country with VAT, if there's sales taxes, all of those things have got to be collected. Going back to that very quickly, Michael, of how do you qualify somebody to become an affiliate? Ask them how many contacts they got in their phone. If they say 3, you probably don't want that person. Right? If they say 3,000, you probably go, okay, this person's a talker, right? They know a lot of people. I mean, the average person knows 200 or 300 people. So, the phone is the key. How many people have you got in your Rolodex, right? Nobody knows what a Rolodex is anymore. It's showing my age, but in your database, how many contacts do you have? I got 1,700. Okay, you qualify. Okay, now let me tell you the rest of it.
So one last thing in terms of people trying to understand what these numbers are based on. It's all based on the number of helium tokens a unit generates. And, use a nice round number that a unit generates 100 helium tokens over some period of time, whatever it is. That's going to be determined by where they got the unit, the number of other units they're able to witness. So whether it's a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is, 100 helium tokens. So these percentages are based on that 100. So when we talk about a host getting 25%, if their unit generates 100 helium tokens, it means that they get 25 helium tokens for whatever period of time it took for that unit to generate 100. And that 20% referral is 20 of those 100 helium tokens. And those 5% each represent 5 of those 100 helium tokens. Right. So you get a sense of that.
I just wish I had heard this 3 weeks ago. You haven't done this training in the past 4 weeks. That's a shame, but this is good for me to give 100% tomorrow. You guys have answered all my questions. Well, that's great. So at least we did that right. So, guys, and now that this is recorded, and yes, it's been a little long. We've gone an hour, kind of digging into this whole thing, but I think it helps. Kind of kicking it back and forth and answering some questions as to, things that, questions that you may have had or somebody else asked, and now you got it squared away. So, Michael, any last thoughts before we?
Yeah, just another question, just to reiterate, maybe they came in late or didn't quite get it. You do not have to have your own unit to be able to receive all the benefits of this compensation structure, this reward system. The only thing that is related to your having a unit is you receiving your own 15 to 20% on a unit that you're personally hosting. But everything else is completely available to you, independent of whether you have a unit or not.
So here's a question. It says, so before iHub was paying the address programming, now they are not. That's not, I don't know where that came from. That's not anything that we covered tonight. And so,
Yeah, actually, that address programming is part of that processing fee.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we get charged. iHub gets charged just like everybody for putting hotspots on the blockchain. So that's just part of part of the cost of doing business. So hey guys, we wish that we could stay up here for the next 2 hours and answer questions, but other things are calling, and so we hope that you enjoyed what we've had to say here this evening. Michael, thank you very much for going through everything. Going through everything and explaining it as eloquently as you do. With that, guys, we'll get the recording up. Don't forget 5 o'clock right here tomorrow, 5 o'clock p.m. and then 9 p.m. on Thursday. Definitely don't want to miss that, because Eric Z and Rick are going to go through lots of information, and you want to hear it firsthand. So with that, Michael, anything else?
No, just
Are we-
seriously, Thursday's going to
saying
be really
goodbye?
important. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.